Hey there, so I am making this testimony video for a friend. I have just this testimony to tell you. So I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, and it was my twin sister, my brother, and my mother, and my dad. We grew up in church, and my uncle was a pastor, my grandfather was the worship leader, my dad had a worship group, and they actually became pretty famous. They used to go around the island and the islands singing all their original songs. My aunt was the piano player. They were pretty much like a family because we traveled together and everything. I think I was like anywhere from 10 to 15 years old when this was happening. Well, my dad actually, well, he was a worship leader. He was an alcoholic and he smoked, but he was what they call a functioning alcoholic, or, he could kind of self-control himself. During the week, he'd be drunk, and the weekend for church, he would just, I remember using Listerine a lot and going to church. So, yeah, so he was definitely all about himself and saying how wonderful he was, and, grew up listening to him and saying that he was the best and everything, and he pretty much didn't really encourage us to sing or to play instruments. I remember wanting to play the guitar, and then we had to get out of the lessons because he used the money for drinking and for his stuff. So anyway, so I remember 1979, where one day we were told that we were moving to the United States, and I didn't know why. And actually, through our life, I heard my dad say, hey, someday we're going to move to the United States. And the way he put it is because it would be more opportunity for us and more better education and all that. Anyway, so 1979 happened, and all of a sudden we had to move to America. Like, my dad was going to go get a job and move to America. Well, the reason for it was that he actually was caught. He was having an affair with someone, a member from the church. So obviously it was a big embarrassment, and of course it's a sin. And he was asked to, I'm not sure if he was asked to leave, but because, my uncle was the pastor and his sister was the pastor's wife. So my grandfather was a choir director. My grandmother was children's director. So, but the next thing I know, my dad had gone to Atlanta to get a job. But I remember being just super upset because I was in 10th grade, and I was very much involved in my school with my high school friends since the 7th grade, and we were a family. We were a class of 98 students and super close. I was the treasurer of the class, and I had a boyfriend, and he was a twin, and yeah, it was a big mess. And I remember writing, anyway, so my dad goes to Atlanta and gets someone to find him a job, and he was in computers, so he was working for Shell Oil. He was a software engineer, I think it was. So he gets a job hunter got him a job at Binghamton, New York. And so he goes to Binghamton, and as soon as he gets to Binghamton, he meets a secretary from where he worked. He worked at a computer company. I think it was called Universal something. So he meets this lady, and he immediately starts having an affair with her while we were in Puerto Rico packing to move to United States. Yeah, so so we pack, we pretty much sell everything, and anything that we sent over to New York had to come over by boat. Obviously, Puerto Rico's an island, so I remember getting there on May 30th of 1980. My dad picked us up. He said that he was taking us to an apartment. We would have our own apartment, beautiful, brand new. It was brand new. That we would each have our own room, and which we did. So, but he took us to this place called Ely Park, which is basically more like a low-income apartments, although they were very nice, but that's where we were. And so he left us at the apartment. I remember exactly what I was wearing. I was wearing like a salmon color jacket and a kind of a green turquoise top, and very, very super stylish. In Puerto Rico, they get all the fashion from Europe, so it was definitely landing in the middle of nowhere, New York, where people wear plaid and boots and jeans. So yeah, I remember my pants being silk and being hot pink. I don't know, it was crazy fashion. And I had these really cool shoes, so but people were looking at us, like, oh my God, who are these people? So we go to the apartment. May 30th, we put the heater on. It was so cold. It was probably in the 60s, but for us, coming from 80-degree weather, oh my word, it was so cold. So I think we had the heater the whole summer, actually. The same day, he dropped us at the apartment. We had no furniture, we had no food or anything. I remember going into my room and just crying and just writing letters. I think I must have written like 30 letters to my friends back in Puerto Rico. And he left that day. We come to find out that he had, on the same day that he dropped us at the apartment, he moved his girlfriend up the street. He moved her up the street the same day, so he didn't show up till late at night. We were starving and cold, and I remember the floor being so hard and cold. And when I close my eyes, I do remember the smell of the apartment. That's how much imprint it was in our mind. Yeah, so that's what happened. Then my mom, little did I know that my mom and my dad were not sleeping together. He right away decided to sleep on the floor. And hang on a second. I'm gonna move this here. And we didn't know this. I thought that my mom and dad were doing good and working things out, but she kept it pretty quiet. She used, I think she used a lounge chair, and she was sleeping in the lounge chair, and he was sleeping in the bed. But, right, did not know. But that summer was pretty hard on us because we had no friends. Coming from Puerto Rico, learning a new language, and not having any friends. Just super cold up in the boondocks and just boonies, and Puerto Rico being so beautiful with palm trees and everything. It was quite a shock. Then I remember one day that my mom and I went up to do our laundry because we had to literally get in the car and drive. Actually, it was 2 rows of apartment. Our apartment was the very last one in the corner, so we had to walk all the way up, get in the car, put our laundry in, and then drive up the hill to another building. So we were doing laundry, and we were done with the laundry. We were waiting. It was just my mom and I. And we were walking back to the car, and we see my dad. We see my dad walking down the way with this woman, and they were kissing. And I looked at my mother. I was like, oh my God, I could see my mom's face drop. She was, her whole world came to an end, I'm sure. Yeah, she didn't cry. She just held it, and we drove home. So, yeah, and she just kept praying and hoping for a miracle, but he wanted out. Um, Things were very tense in the house, but I had to tell you the honest truth that the best day of my life was when my dad decided not to come by to divorce my mom, because my dad was very abusive when we grew up, and he was very abusive. And yeah, he was hard to live with. He wasn't abusive to my mother physically. I mean, emotionally, of course he was. But we grew up under those conditions, and it was really tough. Dealing, fast forward, I have forgiven my dad. He's actually passed away of colon cancer. I forgive him, and my dad did marry Sue, and I loved her, and I forgave her. And we did have a life where we shared a lot of memories together. And she loved my dad. My mom has married. She's been married now for 20 years to a wonderful man. She was single for a long time. She was probably single for 20 years, but God definitely found her a wonderful man that has restored all the love that she missed out on. He's an amazing husband to my mom and an amazing stepfather. So, yeah. And my brother, he definitely got shortchanged. He was very upset with my dad not being there. And I remember him crying a lot and being, my dad promising to come over to his games because he was involved in baseball. I mean, not baseball, but lacrosse and basketball. I think those are the two, maybe swimming. But my dad would not come all the time. He was randomly there, here and there. And I know that my brothers suffer a lot because of it. Yeah. And we definitely have had consequences from that. My brother, his wife, actually asked for a divorce, which is kind of strange. I never understand why women are the ones initiated, but I guess I do. And then I was married for 27 years to a man that was very emotionally, physically, and verbally abusive, and even sexually abusive. Then I divorced him because he was, divorced. My son was in college. Then I married again to a Christian man, but he was equally, he was abusive as well. So I have learned to, God has healed my heart and I have renewed my mind. So I definitely know what God wants for me. I have learned a lot. I have forgiven. I have joy and love and peace today. I had a friend that asked me, and thinking back on how my mom dealt with it, she dealt with it with a lot of prayer. She dealt with it. She used to tell us not to have any relationship with my dad's wife. When they were dating, when they were together, I had no relationship with them. But later on, when they got married, I chose to have a relationship with them, with my dad, of course, and his wife at the time, because I love my dad. So, but I remember my mom telling me not to have anything to do with her and not to go visit and, calling her names and stuff like that, because obviously she was very hurt and broken. But I decided not to. I decided to have a relationship with them, and I'm so happy I did, because my dad did die, and I was the one that had to bring everybody together, my brother and my sister, to come and spend time with my dad. And he was married. So my sister actually didn't take it like that. My sister was very angry and very upset and very hurtful, and she did not have a relationship with them until the end. Later on, I would say like the last 5 years, when he ended up moving to Florida, they were in New York, my sister decided to have a relationship with my dad, which was very good. because then my dad was diagnosed with cancer. So I know that she forgave him, and she did have a relationship with his wife as well. Now my brother did. My brother right away always had a relationship with whenever we get together, because my brother never really lived close to them. I did. I lived in New York, and then I moved to Florida for a little bit. But my brother is kind of like, he bottles things in. And he was much younger. He was 5 years younger. Yeah. So, yeah, and then when my dad was diagnosed with colon cancer, I was very close to him already. And I spent time with him, and I was able to have my sister and my brother come and say goodbye to him and make peace. So, and another part of it is my sister actually is no longer here. She died of lung cancer, my identical twin sister. And I feel that, as sisters, we argue and we fought a lot. But later on, when we got married and we had children, we were super close, closer than ever. There was a time also that she stopped talking to me for stuff that she was going through, but I never once stopped talking to her. And I'm happy that I didn't. Like, I would just pick up the phone and call and just say, I love you, I'm thinking about you. And I'm glad I did, because she's no longer here. And I have no regrets. I loved her, and I love her. When she was diagnosed, I did help her. I did take care of her. And that is one of the gifts that cancer has, that if there's a gift, is that I was able to show her love and let her know how much I loved her. When it's a tragic death, you don't get a chance to say, I love you, or say goodbye, or even know if they're safe, or talk to them about Jesus. So with cancer, you do have a chance, if you choose to. Of course, everything is a choice, and I chose to. Although she loved Jesus, the gift was totally for me, because I was a lot into New Age, and I was into all kinds of universal stuff, like, So, and if it was me, the one that had died, I would definitely not be going to heaven. I'd be in hell. And in fact, I had cancer 2 times. I had ovarian cancer before her. I was 39. I'm 56 now. And only 3% of ovarian cancer patients survive of cancer. And I survived. And also colon cancer. Colon cancer was about 4 years ago, I believe, or even 5 right now. Yeah. So I just think God is good, and I think that every day is a gift, and we need to forgive and let God work in our hearts, renew our mind, and know that we're here for such a short period of time. It's not worth holding on to hate and grudge, and just, the devil just loves to separate us and to break relationship, and he's jealous. He's jealous of us because God loves us. He's crazy about us, right? Yeah. And through this all, like, my passion is to encourage people not to give up, and he gave me Hebrews 12:1. That it's amazing. I just think it's such a blessing and a cliff note. A lot of people, obviously, you want to read the Bible and know the Word, but when you know Hebrews 12:1, it reminds you that we're surrounded by such a great cloud of witness, and to leave things behind, and to turn away from sin, and to know that he is marked our life with purpose that is inside of us, inside of you, and to run with perseverance this life's race that is marked for us, of course, to the end, that Jesus will be there waiting for us to the end. And if we do that, we win. That is the only way to win. There is no shortcuts. We just have to focus on Jesus, and we win. So I hope this blesses whoever needs to hear this, and just to know that life is precious, life is a gift, that even in this time that we're going through with this um, virus, although there's so many viruses, right? Not to freak out, but just to use the time to spend with your loved ones and to draw closer, and love and choose joy and peace and self-control to the desires of the flesh, because it doesn't get us anywhere. So I'm praying for you guys, and I love you, and you can always reach me, send me a DM or a message, and I will be happy to pray for you. So take care, love you, bye. Run your own race.